Okay, team. So now I am starting. Okay, so my screen is visible. Hello.
Sure.
Okay, okay. So today we will cover lazy loading and higher order component and controlled and uncontrolled components. Okay. So in previous lecture I have covered this lazy loading and higher order component, but there was a problem in meeting and there is no sound in video as well. So I am covering again. Okay. So firstly, I'm just starting from the lazy loading. What is lazy loading? Okay. Lazy loading means that a component or a part of the code must get loaded when it is required. Okay. It is also referred to as the code splitting and the code fetching. Means I'm just giving you an example here. Like I have a component. I have a component here like A. Okay. A component, and I have another component like B. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I have two components. So B component is like have some business logic, some database connection, and some other. So it's the loading time is taking some loading time. It's have a higher loading time in respective of A. Like component B is ready to load in 2 minutes. Okay, and component A is ready in like 2 milliseconds. So and if we are not using lazy loading, then component A will wait to be ready of component B. Okay, component A will wait till component B will be ready to load. Okay, so component A is ready in 2 milliseconds, but it will wait for 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. But when we will use lazy loading, so component A will load immediately after 2 minutes, and we will wait for 2 minutes for to load the component B. Okay, and in this we have like two modules. Like one is lazy is used for importing the our components, and suspense other we have a suspense which is used to load our component. It will be the parent of our components. So let's see the example. Okay, I'm just going to create I'm just going to create two components. One is I'm create a.jsx React code snippet I'm using to create this component, functional component I have created. So this is my functional component, a component. Now I am creating one more component here, b, b.jsx. Okay. Now again I am using raw React code snippet to create functional component, and this is b component. Okay. So now I am just going to import this component in my app component. Okay, not work. So I'm just going to import here, import a from component slash a. Okay, likewise I will import component b here. Okay, so this is the general way as we import and call a component. Okay, let's see on the browser. I'm just going to refresh. So a and b is loading. Okay, a and b is loading. So here I will use, lazy loading is a part of our React API. So I will like import also here like lazy module and suspense. So Now I will import my A component and B component by lazy. Okay, okay. Before this, I am just going to show you something. Like I am just doing some business logic in my B component. Okay, I am using a hook use effect. Okay, use effect is imported in the React API as well. So it takes two parameter. So one is a function. I'm using a like here arrow function, and other is a conditional array. Okay, it takes two parameter, and in this I'm just creating a loop to flow this component. Okay, where equal to 0 and I less than, I'm taking some big number here. Okay, I'm just going to, okay, there is nothing inside it. Okay, so this is very big number, so it will, and now B component will be slow rather than A component. So when we will compare, there is nothing, only a static code, and in this use effect we have a loop. So it will execute, and it will take time to execute this code. So now I am just going to refresh this. I have saved this component or not? I'm just checking. Okay, I've saved both. So now I'm just going to refresh. You just focus on these two, A component and B component. I'm just going to reload. Then you can see that A and B is loading together. There is no gap between these. A and B is loading together. Okay, but A should load first because it can be ready fast, and it will be ready slow because it's have some business logic here. Okay, so now I'm just importing this by lazy. Okay, so lazy import, no, lazy we have a function, arrow function we use, and we use a import method, and in that we will import our component like A. Okay, and we will assign this in a constant like A. So now I am removing. So in general way we import like this, and by lazy we will import like this. Okay, I'm just going to remove this. Okay, now in the same way I am just going to importing B in the form of lazy. So I'm just changing this A to B like this. Okay, so now I have imported this A and B in the form of lazy, and now I will use suspense module at the time of loading my components. So I'm like this. Okay, and same for the B, same for the B component as well, like this. Okay, so and suspense has a props like fallback. Okay, fallback. In this fallback, we can define our component and a HTML DOM as well. Okay, I am creating a HTML DOM like div. I'm not calling a component here. You can call a component, import here a component, and you can use here like loading component. You can use, and you can use image as well here. So I'm just generally using the DOM element like loading loading A. Okay, and I'm also using these props with B components like this loading B. So now we can see the difference. Now we can just focus on these two, A and B. Okay, now you can see the gap. A is loaded, but B is loading slow. Okay, so this is all about lazy loading. Okay, so I think like we have like here 20 components. Okay, 20 components we have on a home page, and some are like static, like 15 are static. Okay, and some 5 are taking like 2 minutes to load. But if we are not using lazy loading, then it will whole page will be will so blank. Okay, whole page, our home page will show blank, and after 2 minutes all content will be loading. But in the case of lazy loading, our 15 component uh, will be loading and will be loaded, but the other 5 components will show like loading. It will show like loading or loading icon as well. So this is all about lazy loading. So I'm just going to the some details here. So why we use lazy loading? So I think this is clear to you why we use lazy loading. Okay. So our next topic is higher order components. So what is higher order component? Higher order component is an advanced technique in React for reusing component logic. Okay, like we have a component. Okay, and we want to create another component by the help of that component. Okay, like I'm just I have a component like add component. Okay, and in that component I am adding two values on the when I am clicking on a button. But I have another component like add two, and in that I am also adding two values. But now I am adding two values when I'm just using my mouse. I'm just on click on the event of mouse over. Okay, so there is only difference of the event, but all the basic logic is same for the adding two numbers. So that common functionality we will have in our higher order component, and we will reusing that component in our adding one and add two components. Okay.
Sorry, sir. Uh, Sir, your voice is not coming properly. Cracking sometime. There is a mic issue, I guess.
Mic issue.
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
this think there will be internet issue. Okay. So
Because
I have discussed lazy loading. So this is clear to you? Lazy loading.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And I'm just saying higher order component, like this is the example. Okay, I will fix from next lecture. Okay, so we have a example of higher order component. So I have a component here, wrapped component. Okay, and I'm in the higher order component, I'm just using this component, and I am creating a another component by using this. So I am using the logic of wrapped component. I'm creating another component. Okay, so let's see the example here. I am just creating. So I'm just using this A and B components logic as well. Okay, I'm just deleting all this stuff here. I'm just reverting this because no need. Okay, so let's check on browser. Yeah, this is working. Okay, so I'm just going to create my favorite example here. I'm just going to create one state here, count, and set count, use state. Okay, use state is a part of React API, so it's imported here. So now I'm just going to show the count of A like this. Okay, and this count I will increase when I will click on the plus icon, plus on click. Okay, so I am just creating one function, one event here on click, and here is a function increment. Okay, I'm just creating this function increment here. I'm just creating this function here. Okay, okay, I'm just updating the state by set count function like this. Okay, so let's check increment. Okay, so now I'm an a, it's showing. So I have not assigned initial value, like I have assigned initial value 0. Now let's check 0. So when I'm click, my value is increasing. So same functionality I will use here, but event will be mouse over. So I'm just going to copy this in B. Okay, and event, I am just changing the event mouse over. Okay, mouse over, and changing the component name B. Now let's check. No state. So I will import the state as well here. So let's check. Use state. Okay, so now this is increasing, and when I am clicking, this is also increasing. Okay, so now I am just going to create one component. This is a higher order component, like counter dot jsx. Okay, and I am just using a code snippet to create a functional component. I have created a functional component, and I will create a arrow function here, like counter, in which I will pass my wrapper component. Okay, like I have show you. uh, I will pass here. Okay, in this component. So I'm creating this. Okay, like this, and I am just returning this component counters like this. Okay, so there will be a arrow. This is arrow function like this. Okay, so this is our arrow function. So I will call this here like this. Okay, now I will import this my counter in my a component, counter like this, and I will pass my a component in this counter. Okay, one, and the same I will do it for b component as well. Okay, so now I am just going to cut this my common logic from this component, and I am using in counter component. Okay, so counter name should be the, and I am just going to paste here, and I am just importing here. Okay, so there is a convention that the name of the file should start from the capital letter like this. Okay, now I have, okay, so I have used component. Okay, fine. So now I will pass this my count as a props in that. Okay, like I have passed here, and I will pass this function as well as a props. Okay, counter JSX is not matching. Okay, in here I have a counter. bjx, the counter jsx does not matching with the corresponding counter, where I am using this counter. This is counter, this is counter. Count is not defined. So I will use here like props. I am passing props, so I will handle here props. I will const and okay. So I am just using count, assigning the count in this. So this is like destructuring is a ES6 concept. If we are having like two value in this objects, then we are assigning directly in the form of variable. Okay, the same I will use in component B. Okay, let's check now. We are still invalid hook call, hook only be inside of the. Okay, this is the wrong place where I have called. It should be the our functional component. Okay, here. Okay, so I have used in the arrow function, but it should be in our functional component. Okay, I have used now. Now let's see. I'm going to refresh. Okay, now let's check. So value is increasing. Okay, and when I'm going to click here, value is also increasing. So now I have created counter is a higher order component, and I have all the common business logic in this. Okay, and in this counter, higher order, I am just importing here, and I am just passing this component a in this. Okay, and these are the business logic, common business logic I am getting as a props in a, as similar in the b I am getting as a props. Okay, so now this is reducing our code, and this is also in this way. And if you have worked in other programming language, we create a helper there. Okay, helper, and we have some piece of code there, and we use in different components and different template as well. So this is work similar to this. Okay, this works similar to that. So this is like higher order components. And if we want to like if I want to pass this b and a name as a props from here, so how can we pass? Like I am just uh, passing a here, and props I'm just passing b from here. Okay, so now, so it should be as I'm passing in the a component and b component, so it should be the part of this props, but it will not be the part of this props. Okay, let's check by the console. I'm just going to console.log this props. Sorry. Okay, a component. Okay, so same I'm just going into the console. I'm just going into the b. Okay, so now this is the like different way to get the props in the higher order components. Okay, let's check in the browser and go into the console. I'm just going in the console. So here A and B. So A props have only two things like counter and increment, and B also have counter and increment. So there is no name. So how we can get name props if we are passing from here? So for it will we will get here. Okay, so we need to create one props, pass a parameter here as a props, and now I'm just going to console here. I will show you. I will get here. Okay, like, okay, like counter. Let's check. I'm going to refresh here. Now this is A and B. This is the counter. In counter we have name B and name A. Okay. So we need to pass this. We need to pass this here. This props. Okay. So we can pass this props as name props dot name. Okay. We can pass this, but there may be like 2 3 props as well. So we can pass this as we can pass this as like this. Okay, and now you will see that name is the part of the name is the part of B props and A props. Okay, now we are getting name props in A component and B component, and we can now replace, we can now add one more variable name here, and destructuring, and we are just going to, yeah. Okay, let's check now. A B. Okay, so now A and B is dynamic. Okay, so in this case, so like this we can pass props in higher order components. So if they we are increasing one when we are going to mouse over, and when we are clicking we are increasing one, but my requirement is I want to increase 2 in A component and 5 in B component. So how I can pass this? So I need to pass this here, like I need to pass here like 2 in my higher order component, and I will pass here 5, and I will have second parameter here like num. Okay, and I will replace this count with count 1 with num. Okay, now let's check. I'm just going to refresh. So now this is increasing by 5, and when I'm clicking here this is increasing by 2. So this is all about higher order components. Okay, so I have covered lazy loading and higher order component, and there is another thing, controlled and uncontrolled components, and it's also we say that controlled form and uncontrolled form. Okay, so what is controlled and what is uncontrolled? In the control component, form data is handled by the React component, and in alternative uncontrolled component where the form data is handled by the DOM itself. Okay, means form data is handled by the React component, means in React component we have states. Okay, so form data is handled by the states, and form data is where form data is handled by the DOM, means form data is handled by, we have, as we have handled in the JavaScript, simple JavaScript, we directly fetch the value of the DOM element, and there is another concept to fetch the directly data of the DOM element like ref, use ref we use, and this is a hook and we use. So if we use ref and we get the directly data by the DOM, okay, or we are not using state, so this is the uncontrolled component. I have also covered the use ref and in my previous lecture, and I have also covered the states. So this definition is enough to understand the controlled and uncontrolled component, because I have discussed state and use ref before. Okay, so what is the difference between the controlled and uncontrolled components? So control component has a better control over the form elements and data. means states have the better component than the use ref and other JavaScript as we have. Okay, so this is the main difference. Okay, so I have covered three topics today, and I'm just sharing like when we push our code to the server. Okay, when we so we cannot send all the code to the server. Okay, we have a git ignore files in which like there is no need to push the code like node underscore modules. It's a very heavy library. Okay, like you can see all the library. We have like a very small project. Like we have only home page and some context has about us like this, and we are just going to push, then this is very heavy to push that, so we just create the build. Okay, I'm just adding one, like we just create a build and then we will push that build on the server like npm run build build this command. Okay, I'm just going to run here. I will show you how we can create the build here. It will create a build folder in here and we will push this is okay. This is so what it does. So it's just compress our all the css all the files in a one file, and it's just remove this node underscore modules and other parts by using the git ignore. Okay, and we push all this code to the server. Okay, and there is another thing like this is the build how we can create a build and push the code on the server. There is another thing like uh, linting. So what is linting? I'm just going to uh, tell you what is linting. So I'm just writing here so you can also first how to create build and push code to server. So I have covered this, and now what is linting? Okay, linting means I have some issue in my code like linting issue. Okay, I am just going to here npm. There is a command npm npm run lint. Okay, I'm just going. So lint script, so we need to like linting is not installed here, so you need to lint. So I'm just telling you like I have a unused variable. Okay, I have an unused variable like I'm not using this variable here. I have creative variable name. Okay, but I am not creating using this name. So when I will go like I will run this command npm run lint. So first we need to run this install this linting to our project. There is a like another extension. So I will tell you in another in my next lecture. So it will show us these are not these are like not used, this variable not used, and if this type of linting issue is so before like send our code to the server, we just find out the linting code and we linting issues and we just fix that. Okay, so this is the all about our today's uh, lecture, and I'm just going to stop my lecture here. So I have covered like 3 points today, like lazy loading, higher order component, control and uncontrolled components. And in our next meeting we I will discuss like routing and layout setup, how we can do the layout setup like the header footer and left menu, this type of. Okay, multiple layout as a different layout for the admin and different layout for the front end, different layout for the customers. So how we can achieve this? Okay, in the next, and after that we will work over the forms and validations, and after completing this we have some more routing in routing uh, hooks routing hooks in functional components. We will discuss it, and after that we will work over the redux part. Okay, so I'm just is